What's going on, you guys? Alex here with EV Sportline, bringing you another install video. In this video, we want to walk you through how to install your own wheels and tires on your truck at home. So we have a set of the R80B beadlock wheels here with some BFG all-terrain tires, and we're going to put them on this Rivian behind us, and we're going to show you exactly how to do it. So we have a few tools here, and this is actually our wheel and tire DIY home install kit that's available on evsportline.com if you don't have any of these tools yourself already. So we have a breaker bar to loosen the lug nuts. We have a torque wrench to tighten the lug nuts to spec. We've got a floor jack. We've got our 1EV jack puck and inflator, and those two items are going to be separate, not included in our home install kit. But if you want to go the extra mile, those are available. We're going to need that jack puck to jack this Rivian up, and we just want to check our tire pressures when we're done here at the end, and we have that inflator to do that, and we can add air if we need to. So we're going to go ahead and jump into this install, and the first thing we need to do is go inside the truck. All right, we're inside the Rivian now. Before we get started, we want to put the car into tire change mode. So we're going to set it to the highest suspension setting first. We're going to click off-road, go off-road. And we just want to make sure it's set to the highest setting. Give it a second to do its thing. Now we can go into the settings menu, and we want to be on vehicle, and we're going to go to service, and right here, tire change, we're just going to flip that to on. Turn on anyway. It's just saying ride height changes will be unavailable. That's fine. All right, we're in tire change mode. We can go ahead and jack up the car now and start changing wheels. All right, now that we're back outside, let's talk safety real quick. You want a nice, clean area to work in. You want room to work all around the truck. And we're gonna want some flat ground to jack the truck up on. So we're in our shop right now. This would be ideal. A garage would be ideal. If you don't have that, find a nice paved area outside with flat ground that you can jack the truck up on. So speaking of jacking up a vehicle, you're gonna want some support besides the jack when you're doing this. So that's gonna be a jack stand, or you can place a wheel and tire underneath the truck like we did here. That's what we're gonna be doing today on this truck. So also, we're gonna be using our jack puck. There's really no other way to jack up a Rivian without one of these. And this is also gonna be safest for our truck. So now we're gonna go ahead and loosen our lug nuts before we jack this thing up. It's gonna make it a lot easier once we get it up in the air. The wheel's not gonna be spinning around on us as we try and loosen these lug nuts. Let's go ahead and do that now. All right, I've got our 22mm non-marring socket that came in our kit and our breaker bar, and we're gonna go ahead and loosen these. And we're gonna go one wheel at a time. So we're gonna jack up a corner at a time and work on one wheel at a time, which means we only need to loosen the lug nuts on the wheel that we're gonna be working on. So go ahead and start loosening. We don't need to go crazy here. You just want it to start loosening up. See, I'm going about half turn. Just want it to the point where when we jack this up, we'll be able to spin these off by hand once the wheel is off the ground. Okay, getting ready to lift this vehicle. I've got the 1EV jack puck right here. We're gonna need this to lift our Rivian. So there's gonna be 4 access points around the vehicle where the vehicle was designed to be lifted. So we have one at each corner of the front and rear. There's gonna be a plastic access cover that we remove. And then the magnets here are going to assist us as we insert the jack puck. It's gonna hold itself in the hole, and then we can simply line our jack up with the puck and lift the vehicle. Okay, a little trick to popping these covers out. I'm gonna press on the inner edge, and it's gonna pop the front out like that. Now we have access. Put our jack puck in, just like that, holds itself up. Now we can take our jack and lift right here. Okay, I've got our jack just resting on the bottom of the jack puck right now. Haven't really started lifting the vehicle at all yet. It's just resting there. So if you haven't already, now's a good time to get your jack stand handy or to slide your wheel and tire underneath the vehicle. So I've got that there. Now I can start lifting. All right, so we just need to get our tire about 1 inch off the ground. We don't need to go too high. We just need it high enough where we can actually pull it off. So now I'm just gonna take the socket, and since we pre-loosened these lug nuts, we can just spin these off by hand. Once you have all the lug nuts removed, you're good to go ahead and pull the wheel off. Okay, as we're getting ready to install our new wheel and tire onto the truck, now is a great time to check whether or not your tires are directional. The tires we chose today are not, so it doesn't matter which side of the truck they go on. But if your tires are directional, there's going to be an indicator on the sidewall that indicates the rotation, or it's going to say outside or inside, just letting you know that that outside should be facing the outside of the vehicle. So there's going to be 2 that go on the right side and 2 that go on the left side. So just something to keep in mind as you're installing your tires. Alright, so I've got my lug nuts by my side ready to go, and we can just start tightening these by hand. Using the socket here to help me. All right, now that we've got one tightened up by hand, our wheel is not going to go anywhere. We can go ahead and get the rest of these going. All right, with lug nuts, I always like to tighten them in a star pattern. So we put our first one down here, second one, I'm going to go straight across, and we're just going to continue that pattern along. And we're even going to do that when we torque these lug nuts to spec. All right, so now all these are snug, and we can go ahead and lower the jack back down. All right, we've got all 5 of those lug nuts snugged up, so I can go ahead and lower this jack now. All right. Now from here, we'll take our torque wrench, we'll torque the 5 lug nuts to the Rivian factory spec, and then we can move on to the next tire, which is going to be the exact same process. All right, so now we're going to get our 1EV torque wrench set up to the 140 foot-pounds. So to do this, there's a locking collar right here, spring-loaded. We want to pull this down. Since when it's engaged, we're not going to be able to turn this at all. So we're going to pull the locking collar down, and we're just going to rotate the black handle. And we're going to find where it says 143.8. And we're gonna get our 0 point set to that right there. And then we just need to back this out a little bit to the 3 there. So we now have 140 foot-pounds. All right, we've got our torque wrench set up. We got the 22mm socket transferred over to the torque wrench, and we're ready to torque our lug nuts to spec. So what does that actually mean? Every bolt or nut on a vehicle has a designated torque value that it should be tightened to. And in our case, on the lug nuts on a Rivian, that's going to be 140 foot-pounds. So we're just going to go ahead and take our wrench, and we're going to tighten these until the wrench clicks, indicating 140 foot-pounds. And we want to do this in a nice, slow, controlled motion. Heard that click, so we can stop there. We don't need to tighten that any further. We're gonna use our star pattern here, so if this was my first one, I'm gonna go across right here now and tighten this. Nice and slow. Click. Move over to the next one. All right, that's all 5. I also like to go around now and just verify. Okay, now that we finished that process on the first wheel, we're gonna repeat the exact same process for the other 3. All right, now that we're done with the wheel and tire install, just want to check our tire pressures before we go and drive on it, make sure it's set properly. So I've got the 1EV tire inflator here, and we're gonna go ahead and press and hold the power button to turn it on. Now it's got a few different units it can read. We're gonna use the right button here to cycle through those units. So it's on bar right now. We got KPA. Now we've got PSI, and you can see it's currently set to 36. So I'm just gonna use the up and down arrows. The door sticker on the Rivian specifies 48 PSI. So I'm gonna put this up to 48. All right, now we can go ahead and use this to connect it to the valve stem. All right, I'm gonna get our hose on here, and the end of it is actually threaded and spins, so we can thread this onto the valve stem. All right, now that we've got the hose connected and screwed all the way into the valve stem, you can see the top number is now displaying the current pressure in the tire, so it's got 43.5. We want it set to 48, so at this point we can just press the power button, and this is gonna go ahead and inflate it to our set pressure of 48. All right, we've got our 48 PSI, we're good to go. All right, that is gonna do it for us today on our DIY wheel and tire change on this Rivian R1T. If you have any questions about what we did today, make sure to leave a comment down below. We'd be happy to help. As always, all of the products we used today can be found at evsportline.com. And if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell to be notified whenever we post new videos. We got lots more EV and install videos coming very soon. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.